Good evening and welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the Hoover City Council. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Council President Lyda.
Here.
Council Pro Tem Posey.
Here.
Councilmember Sweeney. Councilmember Driver. Here. Councilmember Murphy.
Present.
Councilmember Middlebrooks. Councilmember McClinton.
Here.
With a quorum present, if everyone would please stand for the invocation to be given by our clerk and remain standing for the pledge to be led by Councilor Driver. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call on Mayor Burcato. I know he has a proclamation tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that Ms. Sally Woolley, who is the State Assembly Chair, and Ms. Karen Schallenberg, President of the Edwards Waters Chapter of the National Society of Daughters of the American Colonists. And we have a proclamation this evening recognizing that group. And I'm going to come stand over here if we just get right. And I will ask Attorney if he would please read this proclamation.
Whereas the National Society of the Daughters of American Colonists were incorporated on April 25, 1921 in Washington, D.C., and the members are descendants of a man or woman who rendered patriotic or civil service to the American colonies prior to July 4, 1776, members work to preserve their heritage and record their history for future generations while serving their communities through patriotic education, scholarships for American Indian students, marking historical sites, serving veterans, and other projects. And whereas the Edward Waters chapter of the Daughters of the American Colonists was named for Edward Waters, gentleman and armiger, who was born in England in 1584 and came to America the first time in 1608 on the ship Patience. And whereas Edward Waters returned to England and came a second time in 1609 on the Sea Venture, which was wrecked in July 1609 in Bermuda. And whereas Edward Waters returned to Virginia, where he and his family were captured by the Nansemond Indians, but were soon rescued. And whereas Edward Waters was appointed commissioner for the district between Southampton River and Fox Hill, and was a member of the House of Burgesses, a captain in the Virginia militia, and a member of the Church of England. Whereas the Alabama State Society was formed by Mrs. Henry Grady Jacobs on March 13th, 1939 in Birmingham, Alabama. And whereas the chapter was formed on November 3rd, 1945 at the home of organizing regent Mrs. James C. Bonner with 14 members. And whereas the chapter has marked several historic sites, including the Indian Trail in 1952, the postal routes of 1820 in 1961, and Tannehill Furnace and Foundry in 1972. Now, therefore, we, Frank B. Burcato, Mayor, and John B. Lyda, City Council President, and on behalf of the residents of the City of Hoover, do hereby congratulate the Edward Waters chapter of the Daughters of the American Colonists on the important work they do in the community and offer best wishes as they proudly host the 86th State Assembly, Alabama State Society Daughters of American Colonists in Hoover, Alabama, and Shelby County, Alabama.
We will now take up our consent agenda. Items 1 through 6 are presented as consent items. It will be read at once with one motion and one vote with no discussion. If anyone would like an item removed off the consent, we're happy to do that. Any member of the council like to remove an item?
Yes, sir. Number 6.
Item 6 can be removed. Any others from the council? Any member of the public like to remove an item 1 through 6 with the exclusion of 6, which has already been removed? Seeing none, Mr. Corley, if you'll read items 1 through 5.
Item number 1 approves the payment of bills. Item number 2 approves the minutes from the January 21st, 2025 meeting. Item 3, Resolution 837125 approves a 040 retail beer on or off premises alcohol license and a 060 retail table wine on or off premises alcohol license for Hoover Steaks and Wines LLC, doing business as Hoover Steaks and Wines located at 5868 LC Road, Hoover, Alabama. Resolution 837325 consents to Shelby County and Shelby County Economic and Industrial Authority granting a tax abatement for county and state non-educational taxes to Swaglock, Alabama, within the city's police jurisdiction pursuant to Alabama Code 40-9B-1. And item number 5, Resolution 837525 accepts a grant from the Alabama Public Library Service in the total amount of $46,000 for assistance with library technology and automation, and amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025 for a total cost of $11,500 for the acceptance of funds and matching portion from the city for a laptop lending center as shown on Exhibit A.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We are privileged tonight to have in the chamber the partners and proprietors of Hoover Steaks and Wine, which we just approved for their license. And I'd like to call on Mr. Josh Baker, Mr. Tyler Camp, and Mr. and Miss Patrick and Danielle Devers, if they would come forward and be recognized. And we'd like to get a picture with you guys if you don't mind. We'll now move to our regular agenda, beginning with item number 6, resolution number 8374-25. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes the city attorney to engage Kroll Associates, Inc. on behalf of the city in an amount not to exceed $10,000 for the limited purpose of Kroll reviewing and providing responses to questions submitted to the city clerk, and amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2025, as shown on Exhibit A.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 8374-25.
Second. We have a motion and approval for the resolution. Any comments from the council?
Yes, sir. Mr. Corley, I understand why we did it the first time when we engaged Kroll through your firm, but since no malfeasance and fraud has been found, why are we going through the firm versus the city just paying it directly to Kroll?
Well, the firm was the client and the account engagement that provided the report, and so I think that was just Kroll's expectation that would be that they would, as part of the same engagement, respond to these questions.
Is there any reason why we should not just the city pay directly? Because my biggest concern is the chain of custody. I would like for this to be on record that I would like all those questions that are being answered. Once they're answered, I would hope that the mayor's office, city attorney, council members would not engage with Mr. Slavic at Kroll so we can get some real good answers. And once that's given to the clerk, I like that disseminated to all the council, all the mayor, unedited, unredacted, and sent on the website. Can that be assured?
Sure, yeah. See no problem with that.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments? Any comments from the public tonight? Yes, sir.
My name is Robin Schultz in Bluff Park. Quick timeline for those who are not aware of it of this audit. In April 2024, Mr. Lyda sends an email to the council, recommends that a forensic audit be conducted. Approximate cost at the time was around $300,000. This was not revealed to the public since Wallace Jordan is paying for the audit, then billing the city. June 2024, during the CON hearing, word of the forensic audit is revealed under cross-examination. August 2024, audit summary is revealed by Kroll at a council meeting. John Slavic, representing Kroll, says he would be happy to come back and answer questions. September 2024, Mayor Mercado indicates there was nothing found in the audit, which contradicts some of the findings in the audit. October 2024, CFO Jennifer Cornett presents her first quarterly presentation on the audit findings and remedy of problems. November 2024, resolution to pay Kroll is introduced at the first monthly council meeting and continued because members of the public want a town hall meeting. November 2024, in lieu of a town hall meeting, it is recommended by some council members that the public send in questions that they have regarding the audit, which will be forwarded to Kroll for answers. Council votes to approve payment to Kroll despite Kroll already having been paid. January 2025, Ms. Cornett gives her second report. February 2025, questions for Kroll are ready for submission, but will go through Wallace Jordan, so payment for questions, which is limited to $10,000, will be made to Wallace Jordan. Some council members indicate that written responses are better than a town hall meeting, so, and justifying that by saying that if they're in writing, they can be kept in perpetuity. A live meeting can prevent censoring of questions, prevent multiple repetitive questions. It can be recorded and streamed, and video can be transcribed very easily these days, thus satisfying the keeping in perpetuity. I did some of the math as far as what it would take to get Mr. Slavic back to Hoover. A round-trip ticket, first class, is $1,200. Winther Hotel, one-night suite, transportation from airport, $750. Winther ballroom rental, $1,000. Video, no charge. So $3,000 for the first Kroll representative, $2,000 for each additional. This right here, what should happen here is instead of these questions, Mr. McClinton asked, how do we know the questions are going to be answered? How do we know the questions are not going to be redacted when they come back? How can we guarantee that? If we can guarantee that, that is a step in the right direction. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is transparency in this thing. We want the questions to be answered. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, just one comment. The night that statements were to have a public meeting, I forgot what councilor stated this, but it was asked for everyone asking questions that was in this particular room to submit all of those questions, and we will answer them. So I do want to make sure that goes on record that it was asked that anyone that needed questions answered to send them in, and they will be answered for a purpose of documentation. Everyone knows me, I'm a big person of documentation and process. Everyone doesn't have access to video or even an iPhone these days, but you can always print something off and it'll be saved accordingly. Also, in the event I've been a part of a lot of town hall meetings even when I was the president of the school board. Answering 100 and some questions is going to take longer than 2 hours. And also it needs to be a summary from that as well too. So that doesn't neglect the fact that you're going to have to still do a summary from that meeting as well too. So I didn't want to just put that as a matter of record that was asked. It'll be 100 and some odd questions will be answered, and they will be posted as Councilman McClinton asked our legal team, unedited, and for anyone to receive those questions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? We have a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Oh, hang on.
So Ashley Lovell, Hoover residents deserve full transparency from our city leadership, and the lack of openness regarding the Kroll report is unacceptable and continues to erode the public trust. This report directly impacts our community, and withholding critical information fuels speculation and frustration. I have a direct question to Councilman Posey, but is it not in the best interest of Hoover residents for a representative from Kroll to travel to Hoover and conduct the town hall style meeting, question and answer, just as Mr. Schultz had said, with over 120 questions submitted? Wouldn't it be more efficient to allow residents to ask their questions directly, because many of those concerns could likely be addressed through open discussion, ultimately saving both time and money? So in that matter, just want to leave that question for you, Mr. Posey, or Councilman Posey, sorry. Is it not more efficient to have them come down?
I agree. I'm glad Robin ran the numbers. I feel like that's something we could have done months ago, back when he was first here. Now we're looking at 109 questions, where it would have probably been like 2 or 3, maybe 3, 2 or 3 questions, I think, about the report, why we did the report, why, how it impacts us financially, those kind of things. But, and I do still feel that way, but I will stand with the rest of you and vote the way you want to do it, the way you feel best. And that's why I said my piece during the work session as well.
Any other comments? We have a motion second for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now move to item number 7, ordinance number 25-2664. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends ordinance number 263 to rezone the property located at 2020 Trammell Chase Drive to R1 Single Family Residential District with conditions listed on Exhibit B to the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move to adopt ordinance number 25-2664.
Second.
We have a motion and second for adoption. Any comments or questions from the body for Mr. Martin? This is a public hearing. Any member of the public here to speak on behalf of this ordinance change? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We have a motion and second for approval. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Posey?
Aye.
Councilor Driver?
Aye.
Councilor Murphy?
Aye.
Councilor McClinton?
Aye.
Councilor Lyda?
Aye.
There we go.
With a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 8 is a resolution number 8372-25. Mr. Corley.
This resolution approves and assents to a declaration of vacation of a utility easement located on the property at 2020 Trammell Chase Drive.
Mr. President, I move to approve resolution number 8372-25.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval of the resolution. Any comments or questions from the body? Hearing none, anybody from the public here to speak on behalf of this resolution? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We'll now take up items 9 and 10, which are under consideration for immediate consideration tonight with the suspension of rules, beginning with item number 9, ordinance number 25-2666. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends Appendix 4, Article 6 of the Municipal Code of the City of Hoover by adding Division 5 franchise Lumos Fiber of Alabama LLC and grants a non-exclusive franchise to Lumos Fiber of Alabama LLC for fiber optic services.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for suspension of the rules. That does require a unanimous vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Posey? Aye. Councilmember Driver?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton? Aye. Council President Lyda?
Aye. With a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries, and we will now consider the motion for adoption.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 25-2666.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Mr. Cope, is here, and he spoke with us at work session on Thursday night, but I know he'll be happy to entertain any questions or comments from the body. Any member have a question or comment regarding item number 9? Very good. Any member of the public here to speak on item 9? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Posey?
Aye.
Councilmember Driver?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton?
Aye.
Council President Lyda?
Aye. With a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 10 is ordinance number 25-2667. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends Appendix 4, Article 6 of the Municipal Code of the City of Hoover by amending Division 4 franchise MCI Metro Access Transmission Services Corp. doing business as Verizon Access Transmission Services and grants a non-exclusive franchise to MCI Metro Access Transmission Services Corp. for access transmission services.
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item number 10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for suspension of rules. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion.
Councilmember Posey? Councilmember Driver?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton? Council President Lyda?
Aye, with a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries, and the item will now be considered. Entertain a motion for adoption of the ordinance.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 25-2667.
Second.
We have a motion and second for adoption. Mr. Cope is back again. Any questions or comments from the body regarding item 10? Any member of the public here to participate in the public hearing regarding the ordinance? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Posey?
Aye.
Councilmember Driver?
Aye.
Councilmember Murphy?
Aye.
Councilmember McClinton? Council President Lyda?
Aye, with a vote of 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 11 and 12 will be for a first reading only. No vote will be taken tonight. We also covered these at work session, but we'll cover them again before the first meeting in February. Item number 11 for a first reading, resolution number 8369-25. Mr. Corley.
This resolution grants conditional use approval with conditions shown in the attached Exhibit 2 for a family entertainment center for the property located at 3313 Lorna Road, Hoover, Alabama.
And item 12, resolution number 8370-25. Mr. Corley.
This grants conditional use approval with conditions shown on Exhibit 2 for the establishment of Sticks and Stones Cocktail Bar for the property located at 5852 Elsie Road, Hoover, Alabama.
Very good. That brings us to the end of our agenda. We'll open the floor for any council comments. Hearing none, open the floor to the public for any public comments tonight. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Katie Thomas, Scout Creek. Tonight I bring another letter from ADEM to the mayor dated November 2nd, 2020. ADEM presented 3 concerns about stormwater inspections in the city: the quality of the inspections, the frequency of the inspections, and the recording of inspection data. ADEM inspected one development several times and found deficiencies in the BMPs, while Hoover inspections did not find any deficiencies. For example, one day, ADEM noted that there were no silt fences. The next day, Hoover did not note that there were missing silt fences. Hoover responded with 2 points on November 30th, 2020. The inspectors are certified. Well, that's a bit like saying, I have a driver's license, therefore I'm an excellent driver. But the second comment was that development was not part of the MS4, once again denying the city's responsibility. 3 months later, ADEM entered into a consent decree and fined the developer over $50,000. A couple of weeks later, Hoover sends the developer a letter stating deficiencies in the BMPs. The city has a process to stop work and to fine developers. So Hoover tells ADEM, not our job, and 3 months later, they go back in and do that job. Remember, all the while, sediment, debris, and pollution is washing down the watershed and damaging adjacent properties. Next, March 12th, 2021, Hoover approves a stormwater waiver for that developer. Now let me repeat that. Hoover knew the developer was not following BMPs, sent them a letter telling them that, and then approved a stormwater waiver for that developer. After approving the waiver, Hoover sent the developer at least 2 more letters stating deficiencies in BMPs. The deficiencies continued. January 11th, 2023, ADEM enters another consent decree and fines that developer $33,800. Understand the continuum of punishments, from letters pretty much up to consent decrees at the top end. The city has a process to stop work and to fine developers who do not follow BMPs. Question everything. Anybody want to go for a ride with me? I have a driver's license.
Any other comments tonight? Yes, sir.
Matt Winther, Scout Creek Drive. Stormwater infrastructure failures not only endanger the health, safety, and welfare of residents, but also impact finances in the city. I've heard many times that Hoover is business friendly. Stormwater infrastructure failures are costing Hoover and its businesses. For example, River Chase Village in 2022, a resolution 6970-2022 presented a path to repair flooding at Highway 150 and Lorna Road. This is the former location of Whole Foods, which opened in 2017 and was closed in March of 2020 because of flooding. Several other businesses in that area were also closed or impacted by the flooding. The city gives tax incentives to get businesses into the city. For a recent example, Trader Joe's across Lorna Road from the former Whole Foods location. I'm guessing that Whole Foods pays more in taxes than an empty building and it would cost less to keep Whole Foods than incentivizing a new tenant into a building with a problematic history. The city has lost tax revenue because of poor stormwater management. The city accepts burdens of attorney fees to litigate stormwater problems, but is less willing to do what is necessary to prevent stormwater problems. The mayor was quoted, "We're aware of announcements by Whole Foods relating to their Hoover location. We're especially grateful that the company is working to find job placement for those employees affected by this decision. The store is in a high-profile location at a major intersection, and we look forward to the next business opportunity that will join the Hoover landscape there. Our staff will be working to help facilitate that process. The former Whole Foods location is still vacant. The litigation is ongoing. Wouldn't it be easier to keep the businesses we have instead of attracting and incentivizing new ones? How much has the city spent on litigation related to this location or stormwater in general? Does the council get regular updates on the state on each project or item in litigation? How many citizen vehicles will be damaged by the floodwater in this area? How much is spent on emergency response to flooding in this area? Will anyone die or be injured due to the flooding in this area? Question everything.
Any other comments tonight? Very good. Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.
No, we both did get to meet with her.